Hello, and welcome to the Autism Resources Kawartha podcast. I'm Matt Garrity, and I'm so happy to be here. In this episode, I sit down with John from Kawartha Conservation. John reflects on how awareness of autism has changed over the decades and shares personal stories about parenting, empathy, and supporting loved ones with different needs. We talk about why sensory-friendly spaces matter, especially at busy events, and how we worked with Kawartha Conservation to bring a sensory-safe space to this year's Christmas at Ken Reid. We also explore the healing side of nature, forest therapy, mindful time outdoors, and how conservation areas can offer comfort and calm to autistic people and families. Plus, John gives us a full behind-the-scenes look at Christmas at Ken Reid, from horses and wagon rides to vendors, crafts, the Ontario Science Centre, live music, and everything families can enjoy on Saturday, December 6th from 10 until 4. The Autism Resources Kawartha podcast is a series of unscripted conversations with local autistic people and the people who love them right here in Kawartha Lakes. As we approach the end of Season 1, I wanted to sincerely thank everyone who listened and supported us. If you or someone you know may be interested in being a guest on the podcast, or you want to sponsor the podcast, let us know so they can be included in Season 2. In the meantime, please continue to follow and subscribe. This podcast couldn't be possible without the support of Cardinal Home Services. Thank you so much. Be sure to check them out at cardinalhome.ca. Now, finally, enjoy this conversation with John. So what's your experience with autism?
I'll be perfectly upfront. I don't have a lot of lived experience with autism. Growing up in the 70s and the 80s, I look back and I reflect at sort of that time, and in our schools, our elementary schools in particular, we had a lot of special needs classes, and that's not to say that those individuals had autism, but looking back, I think there was, we weren't diagnosing at that time. We weren't talking about, autism as we do today. It's not as out there and as diagnosed, and we don't have those supports that we did, now at that time. So looking back, I think, there were a lot of, kids in the class that you might go, they're a little different, or maybe they're not quite the same as some of the others. And,
sure.
Now, as an adult, I think the one thing I notice, or my one experience, having coworkers that, their children or a child in the family is autistic. And I guess I'm amazed by and amazed is probably the wrong word. I'm humbled by the fact that, I might have a bad day. I might come home, I'm tired. It hasn't been a good day. And yet I work with people who come in and they put in the time, they do the work, and they have a person at home who needs so much more support than my children had growing up. And, I'm always humbled by the fact that, that they're not only, their day job, and they're somehow able to, function at a high level, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but that they also have, those, for lack of a better word, some challenges at home sometimes.
Yeah.
There was a situation a couple weeks ago with one of our coworkers, and, his wife and child had gone on a school trip, and there was an incident, a meltdown, for a better word.
Yep.
I know he had to leave because the only person he would respond to in that particular situation was his dad.
Sure.
And always having to be on call in that capacity.
Yeah.
That's I have a great deal of respect for people who have that that in their lives, and I'm immensely impressed by how they're able to both parent effectively and cope at the same time.
Sure. Hey, it's Matt Garrity from the Autism Resources Kawartha podcast. I want to tell you about one of my family's favorite things to do in Kawartha Lakes, the Crazy Creative program at the Kawartha Art Gallery. It's totally free, open to all ages, and every Saturday the gallery turns into a space where you can express your imagination with model magic. I've taken my kids countless times, and we always walk away with big smiles. I've also talked to artists on this podcast who are autistic, and I love how a program like Crazy Creative makes creativity accessible for everyone. Join in any Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Kawartha Art Gallery. You can find out more by following them on social media or visiting kawarthagallery.com. You'll love it. This is an odd question, but you kind of alluded to it, the fact that 20 plus years ago in the 70s when you were in, I don't want to age you, but when they weren't diagnosing kids with autism. When do you think you became aware of autism?
I think for me, probably, I would say the early 2000s would be around the first time I started hearing sort of language around autism.
Asperger's back then, probably?
Asperger's for sure. I was in journalism for a number of years from the late 90s through. So working in a number of different communities, including here in Lindsay at the Lindsay Daily Post at the time.
Right on.
And
I say we're in that building. No, it's a couple down, isn't it? Or
I started in the building just that way, I guess it was.
Yeah.
And then moved to the other
cool
Post building. So saw through that transition. But working in a number of different communities and, in sort of the newspaper field, the journalism field, we did a lot of, whether it was health or medical or, hospital and education sort of reporting. So I, looking back, it was probably around the early 2000s where, that became much more of a topic of sort of reporting and conversation for us.
Yeah, and it probably starts to click when you think about it or talk about it more of like, okay, there was that kid in class that didn't say a whole lot or kept to themselves or maybe acted out the complete opposite.
Yes.
Flipping desks, having meltdowns type of thing. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I mean, my sister was a vice principal and a principal at school. So, going into different schools while she'd be working, there would be sort of classes that were just for certain individuals. And I never really sort of understood at the time, what the issue was other than they're just treated differently.
Yeah.
Not that they were different.
Yeah.
Just that they were treated differently.
Yeah. They have different challenges. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum.
Yep.
There is no one size fits all.
Yeah.
Obviously in that scenario. So it's interesting to me, just sort of that progression and the language and the conversations we now have today versus, what we would have had even 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's like that. Is it the white car syndrome or the red car where you get a white car, you buy a white car, then you look out and everybody's driving white cars? And I wonder how many times now after this conversation you're going to see it and talk about it more, because you know me a little bit. My son's got autism. I won't say the person's name, but we were speaking about the guy that we golf with who brought you to the golf simulator. The golf simulator owner's daughter has autism.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't want to say, I was going to tell you earlier but so like there's always little connections.
Right.
And I'm always fascinated. It's like that white car syndrome. I don't know if it's white or red, but anyways.
It's really such a small world. I mean, that whole 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you say, when you start to sort of look around and notice, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing from my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good that you notice, oh, this person is autistic or that person is autistic, or whether we just look at people as we're just people.
Yep.
And I'm not sure which is the better way to go with that.
It's a good question. And I think everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. I think more often than not, we try to get everybody to act a certain way, and we expect everybody to accommodate for different situations. And my experience with my son is I would like it if people were a bit more accommodating for him to make his life a little bit easier because he has these challenges. So, and I know people are going to disagree with this, but I do know people are going to agree in a lot of cases. I'll make it clear, like, hey, he's going to need a bit of help. So instead of you trying to make him do it this way, let him tell you how he needs to do it and let those accommodations. But then we did something with Autism Resources Kawartha a couple months ago, at the beginning of October, where we had these trick-or-treat bags that said something along the lines of like, hey, I'm autistic. I might not say anything, but trick or treat and thank you so much. And so we bought a bunch and gave them away. And most people loved them. There was, it was less than 20% of people were like, that's outrageous. How dare you talk about medical history or how dare you tell people about your son's autism? And I was like, I understood where they're coming from, but also like I did not force this bag on him, by the way. And a lot of parents were very happy about it too. Like, hey, this is great. My son is verbal, so I'm fortunate in that case. I think like there is a spectrum, and my son has certain challenges that make it a bit easier, I think, for me and versus some other people that have sat across me here, where I'm like, their life is a lot harder and much more challenging. But anyways, we asked Beckett and was like, hey man, like, do you want to use this bag? He's like, I don't really want to. Great, no problem. I forget where I was going with all this, but just the idea of like, ooh, some people are going to be happy, some people will not be. It's all about like accommodation or whatever. But
it's definitely an interesting conversation to have. My daughter was born deaf,
and
growing up, there were a number of times where, and even today, she's an adult now, and if we're out for a meal or something, I will often, rightly or wrongly, intervene to let somebody know, a server or something, no, my daughter is hard of hearing.
Yeah.
So just, be direct and look at them. And I mean, she signs, obviously. She reads lips. She, all of that stuff. And we communicate really well. But I somehow feel, not necessarily to make you more comfortable, but to make the situation more fluid for her, to make it more inclusive as well. Some people don't like that.
Does your daughter like it?
My daughter tends not to pay any attention. She's just, if you want people, if you're better with people knowing, then go ahead. If you don't, then I'm an adult. I'm fine interacting with people. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. It's fascinating though. Like your daughter's fine with it. You're fine with it. It's everybody else that has a problem. But like, you're just being dad and you're trying to help. And I think that's what most autistic parents will be doing the same, or caregivers of like, hey, we're trying to make it comfortable for the person that our loved one is talking to, for the loved one, myself, everybody. And like, we're just trying to be more empathetic and compassionate. And that's what it's all about.
Well,
really.
And I think you had alluded to it earlier. I think everything is you're coming from a place of good intentions.
Yeah.
You're not doing this for any negative or any other reason. It's always from a place of love and and I think that's the thing to keep in mind.
Yes. Well, thank you. So no connection to autism. So not to make it the world's shortest episode, but let's talk about why you're here. Why do I invite you here?
Christmas at Ken Reid.
Awesome.
And we once again have Christmas at Ken Reid coming up on Saturday, December 6th, from 10 to 4 at Ken Reid Conservation Area. It's, I think we're now in our 5th or 6th year. It just keeps getting bigger and better. And one of the things we're doing this year, thanks to you, of course, is we're adding a sensory room this year. In for people who are familiar with our administration building, it's the Birches room. So we're going to turn that into a sensory space for parents and children and that need that bit of quiet just to reset. As both a conservation authority and as an organization who we talk about, making events in our spaces inclusive for everyone. We talk about, we want, families and children to come and experience nature in a warm and friendly and positive way. And I think it's really important, if we're going to say those things, we actually have to do those things as well. We have to create those spaces. And this was just a perfect opportunity, when you approached us. And, I think, having been to all of these events, we've, depending on the year and the weather, we've had anywhere from, several hundred to a few thousand people, which can be extremely overwhelming. You throw, Santa Claus in the mix. You've got some horses and wagon rides and, pony petting areas. And there's just a lot. I mean, even for somebody who is, not necessarily on the spectrum or not necessarily neurodivergent, I find myself, after a couple hours going and just hiding in my office for a few minutes just to quiet myself down again. And then go back out and continue working. It's a lot. And we really want to be, as accessible to parents and families. We always say it's a free family event for the entire community. And that's what we mean. And we really want to create that environment and that experience for people to come out so that they don't have to, leave early or, they come and they have a few minutes and then they have to go because there's no other option. This is, an opportunity for people to actually come out, enjoy some different activities and experiences. Maybe they need a bit of a time where they can just go and be sort of quiet and be by themselves, whatever that reset mechanism is. And then they can enjoy some additional activities. So that's really the premise behind it, and sort of, acting on our words, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. As someone, again, has a autistic son or loved one that's autistic, often we won't go to events because it can be chaos. It can be chaos to a neurotypical person, like you said also. And then for my son, where things can escalate quickly out of nowhere, it's too much. It's overwhelming. It's hot. It's cold. The interesting thing I'm noticing about him lately is a part of him, this has always been a thing of like regulating or managing feelings and emotions. And the one that he's having a challenge with right now is boredom. And we are like, okay, yeah, you're bored. Kind of sucks. Now he gets bored and he's like ready to have a meltdown, or like he can't handle that feeling. It's very interesting. But back to what I was talking about, of the often not going to events. And I don't know how many years ago I went to Christmas at Ken Reid. Wasn't maybe the first one. You said you've been doing it for 6 years.
This might be the sixth.
Maybe it was. But we went and it was wonderful. And then I think for a year, maybe two, we didn't go because it can be overwhelming. Not for this event specifically, but just events in general. I will say Christmas at Ken Reid does not feel as overwhelming as a lot of the other events, even outdoor events, because they're usually crammed into a block or two. But at the conservation area at Ken Reid there, you go and parking is busy. But then the trails and the events, and there's a lot of little things everywhere that it makes it not so overwhelming, which is really cool as well.
Well, and parking is the one big challenge we've always had. So a quick little plug. We have limited on-site parking. So it's, purchase in advance only for the on-site parking this year. We do have free transit, though, from IE Weldon, from Fleming College, and from behind Canadian Tire. There are free shuttles running all day.
That's cool.
For people who don't want to drive or get stuck in traffic. For anybody else, they can just go to our website to kawarthaconservation.com/festivals and get additional parking information. But to your point, we've really made a concerted effort to not cram everything into one space. We at the end of the day, we want people to experience nature in a different sort of more, again, accessible way. So this year we've got things like the pony area, the pony petting area, and we have the Ontario Science Center coming.
Oh, cool.
Who are going to be doing some fantastic stuff. We've got Walks with the Grinch all happening over towards the dog park area.
So cool.
And then on the opposite side of that, near the pavilion, near the dog park parking area, we have the Birds of Prey demonstration, where the Birds of Prey people are going to be there doing 3 shows that day. And then there's going to be meet and greets with the handlers and the birds after each show. And then, of course, you come over to Santa's Workshop, and we've got Santa Claus. We also have the Ontario Science Center in there as well, doing a craft with the kids, which I haven't seen it myself yet. I've read the description of it, and it sounds very cool.
Awesome.
So I imagine that's going to be a big hit. We've got a Christmas vendors market going on in the parking lot area of the administration building. So I think there's 14 or 15 different vendors that are going to be coming with their wares. We've got beaver tails coming back this year. We've got a barbecue place coming this year. A place with coffee and hot chocolate and that sort of thing. Then we go in the building, and there's going to be things like story time and some other activities going on in our boardroom area in there, and that is where the sort of sensory room will be, so that people can go in out of the cold, out of the elements, depending on the weather, and have that sort of quiet, safe space there. And then we also have one of everybody's favorites is the horse and wagon rides.
Nice.
Which will be running all day and always seem popular with children and families and that. So we sort of spread it all about, and there's different stuff happening at different times. Live music. We've just sort of got a little bit of this and a little bit of that all over the place, so you can be where you want to be to enjoy those different things throughout the day.
Right on. Not to say the other events that we've done sensory safe spaces with have been hard to set up at all, but you guys were the easiest and the most welcome, most accommodating, made it so simple. I remember, I don't think I reached out to you, did I?
No.
Maybe Christy?
Christy or Carolyn.
Christy first, because I know her. So I reached out to her, messaged her, and she said, reach out to Carolyn. I emailed Carolyn. Not 24 hours later, she got back to me. Was like, yeah, we'll do it. But it didn't have many details. And she's like, come on in if you want. And then like pick a room type of thing. We went in. It was very easy. And it was just a great, easy experience. And so I'd encourage anyone else that's looking to set up anything with you guys or anybody else. Like, I've been fascinated with just asking people for these sensory rooms. They're like, it's almost no work. They're just, yep, great. And I believe and I hope that it just kind of carries on every year once we get it started. But thank you to you guys. You guys made it incredibly easy. Not even easy, but it felt like we really were doing something good and important. And you almost felt like you were thanking us by doing it, which was really cool.
I think that's the point of it. We, as I alluded to earlier, making Kawartha Conservation, Ken Reid, our conservation areas, making our events accessible. When we say they're for everyone, thanks to you guys, we're able to actually do that and do that effectively for perhaps a segment of the population who didn't necessarily feel that they were included or recognized, or somehow those challenges were understood.
Yeah.
And, I think it's probably fair to say from our standpoint, we don't necessarily need to be experts, and we're not in understanding those challenges. But what we can do is work with different groups and organizations such as yours and individuals who do understand those challenges, and how can we work with you to create that safe space so that we truly can be an inclusive, organization and hold events that are truly inclusive and representative of our community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I spoke a couple weeks ago with Heather, that you don't know. Sorry, I can see your eyes. You're like, oh, shoot, who's Heather? Who runs a stable, R&J Stables, and it does like therapeutic horse riding lessons and a program for people with, it's more just any sort of anxiety and social learning and all that stuff. Is there anything that Ken Reid or Kawartha Conservation area has or does, like therapeutic wise, or anything to talk about in regards to maybe being outside, being in the forest there, that could be therapeutic to people with autism, frankly?
Again, not being an expert in autism and understanding necessarily those individual challenges of each person, what I would say is, when you look at all of the research, when you look at, what's been done in sort of the health sector, there is no question spending time in nature is good for people.
Yeah.
It lowers heart rates. It reduces anxiety. It provides any number of positive benefits. So number one, just being outside, in a forest setting amongst the trees, just, you're sort of breathing in all that good, sort of forest air, if you will.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we have a certified forest therapy guide at Kawartha Conservation, of course. Christy, who you know.
Is she still doing that program?
She does.
Yeah.
She does. She sort of handles it from two different ways. We will schedule throughout the year different forest therapy events where people can just sign up and come out and attend. It's basically a mindful exploration of the forest. So it's not about traveling far. It's not about going on long hikes. It's really just about slow, measured, incremental steps to really allow your senses to experience all that's going on around you.
That's really cool.
In a very quiet moment. I will say I've given Christy a hard time for a lot of years about this, and being somebody who didn't necessarily understand how impactful it could be. What I would say is it is an extremely emotional experience.
I bet.
Or certainly it can be for people who go in with an open mind.
Yes.
It can be an extremely powerful and emotional experience. And I would certainly encourage anybody to go and do that. We also work with people like Canadian Mental Health Association. So a few years ago, what we started doing was rather than charge people to come for forest therapy as a revenue stream, we charge people now, and then we donate all of those funds to Canadian Mental Health for local programming. So it's a little off topic, but we do a similar thing with Christmas at Ken Reid. Bring a donation for the Kawartha Lakes food source.
Sure.
It's about creating a sense of place and a sense of community.
Yeah.
It's not just we're one organization. What we're trying to do is create those ties throughout the community, allow people to, experience all that we have to offer, which is, in a way, bringing all of those other groups and organizations together as well, so that we all benefit. It's
interesting.
Forest therapy. Again, just keep an eye on the event calendar at Kawartha Conservation.
I think it was Fridays, wasn't it?
We've done them at different times.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't available necessarily, Monday to Friday.
Sure.
I know Christy's done them on the weekends before.
Okay.
She's done some after, sort of 4:30, 5 o'clock. And,
Sure.
Seasonally.
Yeah.
And we've done them at our different conservation areas. We've done them at Durham East Cross Forest. We've done them at Windy Ridge.
Windy Ridge is so cool.
Windy Ridge is it's one of our shortest conservation areas. It's about a 1.2 kilometer loop.
Which is great for me and my family. And my kids are 10 and 8 and like different challenges in different ways. So we started going there a couple of years ago and we love it. And I remember when I first started going, we always start on the bottom and we'd go up first. And years ago, I was like huffing and puffing. And we just did it a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, no huffing and puffing anymore.
It's by far one of my favorites.
I love it.
Personally. I mean, they all, when you start going to them, you find different things you love about each one. But certainly, the Windy Ridge in the fall and when storms are coming in over the Oak Ridges moraine, it is absolutely spectacular up there.
Yeah.
You go up and the views are just wonderful. Much like Fleetwood Creek, when you go to the viewing platform there, again, fall is just a great time. And the other times of year are great too. For me, fall is my peak season for, enjoying being out there. And the weather's just perfect. There's no bugs.
Yeah.
The temperature's right. Durham East Cross Forest. There is some beautiful, beautiful hardwood forests through there, which, you can go and just spend hours just enjoying the scenery and the views and the sounds. And we're very fortunate in our area to have some really great places to explore.
Yeah, definitely. Weird pivot, and I apologize. Your journalism background must be going nuts listening to me go all over the place with my questions. But I'm thinking now about your daughter, if you will. And this, I want to know, like, is this a myth? So this is going to be a stupid question. Like, so she can't hear. Does she find her other senses are more enhanced now? And can that lead to any sensory overload? Or is that just a myth that, like, Matt, you're an idiot?
I would say her other senses are much more heightened.
Okay.
For sure.
Sure.
I wouldn't quite put her in the superhero category. Superhero to me.
To you, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, whether it's her other senses or just a fine-tuned ability that she has herself developed.
Interesting.
She's always been just really in tune with other people, other people's, whether it's other people's emotions or understanding other people. And recognizing that, like, she could sit here and have a conversation with you without any issues at all.
Yeah.
Just, watching your eyes, your body language, reading lips, all of those sort of things that she's just become much, much more in tune to over time, which, really makes me feel like an underachiever when I see how much she's had to, adapt and
Sure.
She went to school, she went to college to become a PSW.
Oh, wow.
She really likes to work with people in care settings,
Sure.
and she's just a natural caregiver herself.
That's
and,
amazing.
She's a pretty remarkable young woman.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to try to get you to cry, but no, I'll stop. Is there anything else you want to talk about with was it Ken Reid or the conservation area?
You know what? We just look forward to seeing everybody. I think for our staff, certainly it's probably the most looked forward to aspect of the year. Obviously Kawartha Conservation, our mandate is the protection of people and property, things like flood hazard, low water, which of course we're still in, planning and permitting. So, we have a whole other aspect of what Kawartha Conservation and what conservation authorities in general do. But one of the things we look forward to and one of the things we really strive to do is, again, connect people to nature. And we have a lot of people who come out and use our conservation areas, people who have been coming out for years or people who are just discovering them, more recently. But some of these events, they've just sort of taken on a life of their own. And, as I say, we had our first one just before COVID.
Yeah.
And it was successful and really popular, but it wasn't really well known. And since, COVID, and we've reintroduced Christmas at Ken Reid, we have people reaching out to us in September, saying, are you doing Christmas at Ken Reid again this year? And then, of course, from Christmas at Ken Reid, we introduced the Illuminated Forest, which has taken on a whole other life of its own.
Yeah.
So these are just different ways and different activities and events we can really tap into, again, to make Ken Reid, make conservation areas just a welcoming, inviting place to say, let's all just get together. Let's just enjoy a really fun day, a nice day, where we can come out and, there's enough stress in everybody's life, and the holidays are certainly stressful enough as it is. So this is just a great opportunity for staff to really just enjoy spending time with each other in a really great setting. We have any number of volunteers. So this year we've got, so many different volunteers from organizations coming out to help us with Christmas at Ken Reid. The people who are involved and the different vendors and the different groups, reach out to us early in the year going, are you doing it again? We'd love to come back. Had a great time, a great experience. Awesome. So, we're just really looking forward to that. We've got, a couple weeks to go. And
we'll have this one out the Tuesday before Christmas at Ken Reid. So I think that's December 2nd. So it'll be this Saturday. Come on out.
Yes. Saturday, December 6th, 10 to 4. If you haven't got your parking pass, you'll want to go onto our website.
Call John directly. His phone number for that is
705-328-2271, extension 220.
Nice. Awesome.
I look forward to your calls.
I ask everybody this question. I'm sorry if it's not exactly perfect for you, but if there's one thing you wanted people to know about autism, what would it be?
That's a great question. I think the one thing I would want people to know is people don't necessarily walk around with a sign on saying, I'm autistic or I have autism. And you never know what's going on with someone. I think it's important, frankly, whether, we're talking about autism or we're talking about just people in general, just treating people respectfully, being open-minded, being aware that how you experience something is not necessarily how somebody else is going to experience it. How you communicate is not how somebody else communicates or processes. So just being aware that, everybody's going to be different. And that's okay. And there are resources out there, much like yours. I think that the language around autism is certainly a lot more accessible now. There are a lot more resources now. And, regardless of what somebody's going through, there's always some help available. So I think, just recognizing that being kind, being open, being patient, I think all of those things would be what I would say.